Long before climate change became a global concern, the Amish were already living in near perfect environmental balance. No cars, minimal electricity, organic farming, zero waste. These 10 methods reveal how the Amish lifestyle creates ecological sustainability that modern green movements aspire to but rarely achieve. Faith and nature in perfect harmony. Horse-powered transportation. The clip-clop of horse hooves represents one of the most environmentally significant choices the Amish make, rejecting motorized transportation entirely. Every trip happens in a horse-drawn buggy that produces zero fossil fuel emissions. While America burns millions of gallons of gasoline daily, Amish families travel completely carbon neutral. The horses become part of a closed ecological loop. They require feed that Amish farmers grow. They produce manure that gets composted and returned to fields as fertilizer. The slower pace naturally limits travel to necessary journeys. The average American car produces about 4.6 metric tons of carbon dioxide annually. An Amish family with horses produces essentially zero transportation emissions. Minimal electricity usage. Most Amish communities reject connection to the electrical grid. The average American household uses about 10,700 kilowatt hours annually. Amish households use virtually none, or in progressive communities with solar power, perhaps 5 to 10% of typical usage. The absence of electricity eliminates entire categories of consumption. No air conditioning, electric heat, refrigerators humming constantly, televisions, computers, or water heaters. Some communities have adopted solar panels for limited use, but even these use a fraction of typical consumption. Lighting comes primarily from oil lamps and natural daylight. Organic farming practices. Amish farmers practice organic agriculture because it's traditional, not ideological. They reject synthetic pesticides and fertilizers. Crop rotation prevents soil depletion and breaks pest cycles. Cover crops prevent erosion and add nutrients. Composting all organic waste creates fertilizer without chemicals. Natural pest management replaces chemical pesticides. Planting diverse crops confuses pests. Encouraging beneficial insects provides biological control. Accepting some crop loss rather than pursuing total elimination. A typical Amish farm includes dairy cattle, chickens, pigs, several crops, gardens, and fruit trees. This diversity creates resilient ecosystems and builds soil health while avoiding ecological fragility. Zero waste lifestyle. Visit an Amish homestead and you'll notice something missing. Trash cans. The Amish produce almost no waste. Everything gets repaired, reused, or repurposed. The cultural attitude of use it up, wear it out, make it do creates near zero waste lifestyle. Food scraps go to chickens, pigs, or compost. Fabric scraps become quilts or rugs. Broken tools get repaired, not replaced. Glass jars get saved and reused indefinitely. The average American produces about 4.5 pounds of trash daily. Amish families produce a fraction of that, perhaps half a pound or less. Water conservation methods. In homes without indoor plumbing, every drop of water must be carried by hand. This physical relationship creates profound awareness of usage. When you must pump and carry every gallon, waste becomes impossible. Many families bathe weekly, and multiple members might use the same bathwater. Dishwashing happens in basins, not under running taps. Laundry water gets reused for gardens or livestock. Rainwater collection provides another water source through cisterns that capture roof runoff. The average American uses about 82 gallons of water daily. Amish individuals likely use 10 to 15 gallons, a 5 to 8-fold reduction achieved simply through different relationships with water as precious resource. Sustainable food production. Amish families produce most food on their own land. Large gardens supply vegetables. Orchards provide fruits. Livestock produce meat, milk, and eggs. Most food moves from field to kitchen, measured in feet rather than thousands of miles. Eating seasonally follows naturally from local production. Strawberries appear in June, not December. Root vegetables dominate winter. Food preservation allows year-round eating of local food through canning, freezing, drying, and root cellaring. Seed saving maintains heritage varieties while rejecting GMOs. The closed-loop nature creates remarkable efficiency. Animal waste fertilizes crops. Crop waste feeds animals. Nothing leaves the farm as waste. Natural building materials. Amish construction relies on locally sourced natural materials, dramatically reducing the environmental impact compared to modern building practices. Timber comes from nearby forests, often from the same property where the building rises. Stone gets quarried regionally. The transportation emissions associated with shipping, building materials, thousands of miles get eliminated when materials come from within a few miles of the building site. Traditional building methods using natural materials create structures that breathe, last for generations, and eventually biodegrade completely if abandoned. Wood, stone, metal, and glass dominate Amish construction. Synthetic materials like plastics, foam insulation, and chemical treatments get avoided. When these buildings eventually reach end of useful life, the materials decompose naturally or get reclaimed and reused rather than persisting as non-biodegradable waste. Energy efficiency gets built into design rather than added through technology. Thick walls provide natural insulation. Small windows reduce heat loss during winter while limiting heat gain during summer. Compact layouts minimize the space requiring heating. South-facing orientation, when possible, captures passive solar heat. These time-tested design principles reduce energy needs without requiring sophisticated technology or expensive materials. The longevity of Amish construction prevents waste associated with demolition and rebuilding. Barns built a century ago still function perfectly with proper maintenance. Houses serve multiple generations of families. The cultural emphasis on quality construction means buildings last indefinitely rather than requiring replacement every few decades. This durability prevents the enormous waste streams generated by modern construction industry, where buildings become obsolete or deteriorate quickly. Community barn raisings demonstrate efficient resource use through shared labor. Rather than hiring contractors with specialized equipment, the community gathers to raise a barn in a day or two. This shared labor system reduces costs while building community bonds. The knowledge required for traditional construction gets passed directly from experienced builders to apprentices without need for formal training programs or certifications. Seasonal living alignment. Amish life synchronizes with natural seasonal cycles in ways that modern climate-controlled existence has eliminated. This alignment creates environmental benefits, while potentially improving physical and mental health through connection with natural rhythms. Spring brings planting as soil warms and days lengthen. Summer focuses on growth, maintenance, and preparation for harvest. Fall centers on harvesting and preservation. Winter allows rest and indoor work. This cycle repeats annually, unchanged for generations. Planting happens according to traditional timing based on last frost dates, soil temperature, and sometimes moon phases. The Amish don't fight nature's schedule but work within it. Seeds go in when conditions are right, not according to arbitrary calendar dates. Harvesting happens at peak ripeness when crops reach optimal quality, then preservation begins immediately while produce is fresh. Eating seasonally means accepting what each time of year provides naturally. Root vegetables, preserved foods, and stored grains dominate winter meals because these foods keep well. Fresh vegetables burst onto tables during summer when gardens overflow with produce. Spring brings eggs in abundance as chickens respond to lengthening days. Fall offers harvest bounty of fruits, vegetables, and fresh meat from animals raised during summer. No energy gets wasted, forcing unnatural production or shipping food from distant climates. The seasonal work rhythm respects natural cycles while protecting human health. Spring and summer bring long days of intense agricultural labor when weather permits outside work. Fall demands harvest urgency before frost. Winter allows relative rest when frozen ground prevents field work, providing time for maintenance, repairs, and crafts. This variation prevents the year-round constant intensity that characterizes modern work life. Accepting seasonal limitations means working with nature rather than against it. No heated greenhouses forcing winter tomato production, no air conditioning creating artificial climate inside while burning fossil fuels. The Amish dress appropriately for weather, heat homes minimally during cold months, and accept summer warmth rather than fighting it with energy-intensive cooling. This acceptance reduces environmental impact while maintaining comfort through adaptation rather than resistance. Minimal consumption culture. The Amish rejection of consumer culture creates environmental benefits that dwarf individual choices about reusable bags or recycling. They simply don't participate in the endless acquisition cycle that defines modern American life. Buying happens rarely and only for true necessities. Most items get made at home rather than purchased. Shopping as recreation simply doesn't exist. This fundamental difference in relationship with material goods dramatically reduces environmental impact. The emphasis on quality over quantity means every purchase focuses on durability and longevity. An Amish man buying a tool selects the highest quality version available because it must last his lifetime and potentially serve his children as well. This contrasts sharply with modern tendency to buy cheap items repeatedly, creating waste streams of low-quality goods that quickly fail and get discarded. One well-made tool used for 50 years has far less environmental impact than 10 cheap tools each used 5 years. Clothing, production, and use exemplifies this minimal consumption approach. Amish women make all family clothing by hand. Styles remain unchanged across generations, eliminating fashion-driven disposal. Clothing gets repaired repeatedly until it literally cannot be fixed, then gets repurposed into quilts or rugs. The concept of discarding wearable clothing because it's out of style simply doesn't exist. A dress might serve its original wearer for years, then get altered for a daughter, then become quilt fabric, then perhaps finally serve as cleaning rags. The life cycle extends infinitely through creative reuse. Furniture represents another area where quality focus reduces environmental impact. Amish furniture gets built to last centuries. Solid wood construction using time-tested joinery techniques creates pieces that survive generations of hard use. This furniture becomes family heirlooms passed through multiple generations, avoiding the waste created by modern furniture industry where low-quality pieces require replacement every few years. Technology rejection eliminates entire categories of environmental damage associated with electronics, production, and disposal. No smartphones requiring rare earth mineral extraction and creating toxic e-waste every 2 years. No computers becoming obsolete and entering waste streams. No televisions, gaming systems, or smart home devices with short lifespans and disposal problems. The Amish simply don't participate in the technology consumption cycle that creates enormous environmental costs. Community resource sharing. The Amish practice of sharing resources within communities multiplies the environmental benefits of individual choices. Expensive equipment that would sit idle most of the time in individual ownership gets shared among multiple families. A threshing machine might serve 10 farms, used intensively for a few weeks each year, then stored until next season. This shared ownership means one machine serves where modern farming might require 10, reducing manufacturing demand and resource consumption proportionally. Canning equipment rotates through communities during preservation season. Pressure canners, large pots, specialized tools all get borrowed and returned as each family completes their canning. This sharing prevents redundant ownership while ensuring everyone has access to necessary equipment. The environmental benefit comes from manufacturing fewer items while maintaining the same functionality across the community. Bulk purchasing as a community reduces packaging and transportation environmental costs. When one family buys 5-pound bags of flour, packaging waste is substantial. When a community pools orders for 50-pound bags, packaging waste per pound drops dramatically. Transportation efficiency improves as well, with one delivery serving multiple families rather than multiple trips for individual purchases. The knowledge sharing that happens naturally in tight-knit communities preserves sustainable practices without requiring written materials or electronic resources. Older generations teach younger ones directly through demonstration and apprenticeship. Skills get passed intact across generations without need for instruction manuals, videos, or formal education programs. This living library of sustainable knowledge persists through human relationships rather than resource-intensive documentation.